while life is abuzz with Christmas fever, tonight will be the first night of Hanukkah, and Wednesday is the winter solstice. It's the longest night of the year. This is the darkest time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. It's no surprise that so many holidays converge on this darkest week of the year. We need a little light to get us through the darkness. And when we pass the threshold of the solstice and we make it to the next morning, and we have a great cause to celebrate the return of the sun and the lengthening of the days. Because Hanukkah is an evening ritual, we won't light any candles today. We will, however, light them on Christmas Eve in our service, which starts just shortly after sundown. For today, though, I wanted to remind us of the story that the Hanukkah tradition grows out of. In the year 168 BC, the Syrian tyrant Antiochus Epiphanes sent his soldiers to Jerusalem. The Syrians desecrated the Jewish temple, and this is a really important point. For Jews in that time, the temple was the absolute holiest place on earth. It was literally where God lived. That's hard for us to wrap our minds around, but it is where God lived. When Syrians took it over, they changed the altars and set up idols and altars for Greek gods. And Antiochus offered the Jews two options: conversion or death. Needless to say, this was a crushing moment. Shortly after the invasion, a resistance movement led by a family known as the Maccabees developed against the cruelty of Antiochus. Judah Maccabee became the chief strategist and military leader of the resistance. Though outnumbered, Judah Maccabee and his fighters won two major battles, beating back the Syrians against all odds. Hanukkah evokes images of valor against overwhelming odds against the Syrians. The holiday also celebrates the Jewish refusal to submit to the religious demands of an empire and the struggle against total assimilation into the surrounding dominant culture. The word Hanukkah itself means dedication. It's the festival that commemorates the purification and rededication of that temple, that holiest spot on earth. It seems so fitting for the holiday commemorating hope in the darkest time occurs this week during the year. In this dark season, not all the reminders of hope are actual light, though. I see them less and less, but for a long time, one of the markers of the season was people collecting money in those little red buckets outside of shopping malls. The Unitarian Universalist minister Karen Solvang Anderson tells a story about her fondness for these Christmas bells and the ritual of collecting money for charity during the holidays. For years and years as a child, the bells reminded her of Christmas time. And she got great pleasure tossing a little bit of money into the bucket. Later, as an adult, she grew to appreciate the opportunity to practice generosity, sometimes several times a day. One year, she decided herself to join the fun. She signed up with a charity to stand outside a local shopping mall and collect money for a few shifts. She was so excited to participate in this quintessential Christmas experience. For her first shift, she showed up to the mall and got some very discouraging news. Just before she arrived, the manager of the mall had decided that the ringing of the bell was just too noisy. It was disturbing people eating lunch at the restaurant nearby. The volunteers could stand there, but with their bucket, and kindly ask for donations, but there would be no bell ringing. So in place of the classic Christmas bell, the volunteers were given a cardboard sign. On one side was written ding. The other side read dong. In place of the charming childhood fascination with bell ringing, Karen found herself waving a sign that said ding dong while passerbys ignored her. For 4 hours, she flipped her sign in despair. Finally, 10 minutes before the shift was up, she noticed a guy in black cowboy boots coming toward her. He chuckled at first, but by the time he arrived, he was bent over in full hysterical laughter. Not sure what this was all about, she flipped her ding-dong sign with increased vigor. She was ready to kick him in the shins for his rudeness until he said, "I must say, I've never seen a sign like that before. Anybody that stands with a sign that says ding dong must be duly rewarded," and handed her a crisp $50 bill. That encounter changed everything. It wasn't the $50 that mattered so much as the realization that her willingness to go out on a limb made someone really laugh. She says, "I now felt strangely in awe of my ding-dong sign. I was unabashedly proud that I was stupid enough to stand in a mall tenaciously flipping a sign, waiting for humor and generosity to awaken someone's humdrum spirit. Waiting for it to finally dawn on me that my gifts of generosity and time needed to lose their pretenses in order for any true generosity to occur." Karen found that her pretenses, her preconceived ideas of how holidays should be celebrated, got in the way of her enjoyment of the potential of this year's holiday. She found that the moment not living up to her childhood dreams somehow ruined it, until she was able to let go. Let go of that particular vision of how things should be, and make the best of what is in this moment. For lots of us, the holidays don't live up to anyone's notion of what they should be. The song says it's the happiest season of all, but the honest truth is Christmas is much more complicated than that, I think. In the midst of the tinsels and cookies, there's often pain involved in the holidays. It's the pain of being away from family, the pain of being reminded of those who have died. It's also a pain of confronting financial hardships and basic limitations. At this time of year, when memories flood our mind layer upon layer of emotion and experience, creates a tapestry of the present moment. We become all our children, as the reading said, as all the experiences of Christmas past sit with us still. All the joy and the disappointment sing with us as we celebrate another year. I want to take a quick poll of us gathered here. How many of us are geographically separated from immediate family members this Christmas? That's nearly everyone. And how many of you are reminded this time of year of loved ones who have died? Yeah. And how many of you think Christmas is simple? There you have it. It is complicated. And if you feel like it is, you are not alone. I think more than anything today, I want you to hear that you are not alone. You don't have to pretend that this is the happiest season of all if you don't feel like it. If you are struggling, if you are facing difficult memories or feelings of inadequacy, talk to someone close to you who understands. There's a good chance that they already know you are having a hard time, and they probably want to understand why. And if that's not possible to bring it up with a friend or a family member, you can always talk to me or Casey, our intern minister, or Celia has her listening salon for you to call. I won't promise to take the pain away. Your friends and family can't do that either. But what we can do is help you feel not alone in it. The unfortunate truth is there is no substitute for the relationships you are missing this time of year. Whether you're separated by distance or by death, there is no substitute for another human being that you care about. And that's not a bad thing. If there were, we could go to the shopping mall or a football stadium and feel like we were surrounded by friends. But relationships are unique, and that's what's special about them. That doesn't mean that other people can't bring new joy into your life. When we feel down, there's a slew of different ways of dealing with it. One very legitimate way of dealing with those Christmas blues is to find some distraction. In The Sound of Music, as Maria sings, I simply remember my favorite things and then I don't feel so bad. Believe it or not, there is some very good advice there. Of course, you can't bury negative feelings, but you also can't wallow in them forever. At the very least, spending time with other people this season is a distraction from what troubles you. But more than that, going to a party, getting coffee with a friend, putting up some decorations maybe, whatever the activity is, it's a starting place to opening ourselves to new joy. That's the great thing about being alive. We can still honor the truths of Christmas past and open our hearts to new joys of this year or next year, or this moment itself. In the darkest of times, we look to find hope somewhere. Not because hope is easy or cheap, but because we need it in this very dark week of the year. That's what this whole season is about, in these shortest days of the year. Celebrating some sense of hope. Amen.